Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and this is Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation and book discussion group. Tonight, we are discussing You Are the Placebo, Chapter 3, The Placebo Effect in the Brain. The last couple of chapters is about the history of placebo. Chapter 1 is kind of like the discovery from the medical view. I mean, people are doing subconscious stuff from the beginning of human history, but it's like the Western society just wasn't even believing it or accepting it. And so there's a number of documented cases where people went, oh, what's going on here? And then in chapter 2, it goes in through the medical testing and validating and just like, this is something real. And it talks about how they finally got around to actually making policy to have double-blind and triple-blind placebo test because they were finally recognizing that the human mind heals by suggestion. The pharmaceutical just didn't want to accept that. Even though the evidence was clear, they just did not want to accept it. Now it's documented evidence that anywhere between 30 and 80% of antidepressant effect is placebo. And the placebo doesn't have side effects. As a past tense cancer patient, there was a lot of talk about the chemical, the toxins that they were giving you to fight cancer. People were so sick from it, they would get nauseous going to the doctor, anticipating. So, of course, I didn't do that because I was kind of a stubborn old guy. That ain't gonna affect me. But many people was nauseated by the time they got in the chair to be plugged in. If thoughts can make you sick, can they make you well? The answer is clearly yes. It's the same system, just a different thought. But what is the process of that thought? How does thinking make you sick? How does thinking make you well? With all else being equal, without talking about diet or exercise or your environment, how can you change the way you think in one way and get sick? Change the way you think in the same environment and get healthier. We're going to talk about that. It's ancient knowledge. Religions have been doing this for thousands of years and been calling it rites, religious ordinances, mystical phenomena. Well, let's go into the study and find out a little bit of actual stuff. I'll read some, talk some. If you read my previous book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, you'll find that this chapter reviews much of that material because a thorough understanding of what is presented here will be necessary to fully understand the chapters that follow. As the stories in the last two chapters illustrate, when we truly change our state of being, what is a state of being? It is when your thoughts and actions become coherent. Now you're in a state of being. It's not just daydreaming. It's not just acting out. It's when your thoughts and actions unite. An extreme case is a word called flow. Joggers do that, long distance joggers, where they just get in a groove and they move into flow. on and on. Our bodies can respond to a new mind, and changing our state of being begins with changing our thoughts, because the size of our enormous forebrain privilege of being human being is that we can make thought more real than anything else. And that's how the placebo works. When our thoughts become developed, move through choice into our body and into our subconscious, our body just acts as if the thought is real. And in that moment, it is. I explained conditioning. There's a word we'll talk about for the rest of this book. The first element of the equation of the placebo. In the discussion about Pavlov in the previous chapter, to recap, conditioning happens when we associate past memory with a physiological change because we've experienced the benefit of the drug so many times. Think about it like this. If you notice that you have a headache and you become aware of the physiological change in your environment, the next thing you automatically do is look for something in your environment. Boom, 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 why do I have a headache? And you go, wait a second, the music's too loud, or there's an environment, there's a hassle, a tension, someone's angry, and you coming down. You associate the unpleasantness in you by something outside of you. A doctor walks in with a white suit. Why do you respond? Because that man walks in with a white coat, stethoscope, and a nurse in tow. Why does everybody get quiet and expect important information from you? It's because you've been conditioned. Have you ever gone to a doctor's office and the doctor comes in casual clothes and he sits down and just starts talking? Are you primed? Are you conditioned to receive this unknown man's words just because he says so? It wouldn't be the first time I interrupted my doctor and thought, excuse me, who are you? Why should I believe anything? It's just, oh, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Really? And I know that how? Yeah, I have a thing about doctors, excuse me. The moment you notice a change in your inner environment, you pay attention to what was in your outer environment that causes the change. The doctor walks in casual clothes, and I am not conditioned to just accept some guy that comes in and starts talking to me. It's like, who are you? But he leaves his office, come back with a white coat and stethoscope and a nurse in tow. Okay, now he's wearing his badge of authority, and I am conditioned to accept what he says a little bit more. It's funny how that works. That event where something outside of you changes something inside of you is called associative memories. Why does conditioning work? Because we have associative memories. Now, there's something about associative memories I want to remind you about. Last chapter, we talked about conditioning and priming. Why does the white coat matter? People walk around, I've seen white coats in warehouses. Who cares, right? Why does it matter? Well, because going to hospitals and clinics and things like that, we have been conditioned to accept the authority. But how did that happen? It happened by the word priming. It's like putting water in a pump. We have been given little conditions, little prompts again and again and again and again. Is that this guy with a stethoscope and a nurse in tow has important information. His time is expensive. When he shows up for the 5-minute visit, pay attention. What he says matters. That's called priming. The white coat, there's no magic in the white coat and stethoscope until you've been primed to the important environment that comes with them. This concept is going to be important as we go through the idea of placebo. Now in chapter 48, they call it associative memory. What does that have to do with it? Well, because the associative memories, the memory part, is remembering the priming part that defines the conditioning. See how that flipped back and forth? The priming is the active point. The associative memory is remembering the priming of the conditioning. That plays part of learning how to make your own placebo. So that's an important point. Expectation is the second part. Expectation, the second element, comes into play when we have reason to anticipate different outcomes. If conditioning is based on the past, we're conditioned. He's got a white coat, I'm conditioned. I now expect what he says has value in my life. Anticipate a different outcome. If conditioning is based on the past, then think of expectation as being based on the future. Okay? If we have chronic pain from arthritis and get a new medication from the doctor who enthusiastically does emotional tie, without the motion, you might as well be flipping pages in a magazine going boring. If he sells you through conditioning and expectation, you now have an important element called expectation, who enthusiastically explains to us that it's supposed to alleviate the pain and cure us. Further down the bottom of the page. If we emotionally accept and then embrace the new outcome, we've selected the intensity of our emotion is great enough, our brains and our bodies won't know the difference between imagining what we've changed in our state of being to being pain-free and actual events causing it. What it means is that if we emotionally accept, oh, this is good, this is the right thing for me, and we intensify that with a heart chemical emotion, the body will begin to accept that story and adjust to it and respond to it and build its life to match that story. Until you do it a few times, I accept this is a stretch. Okay? I've got some black tea to keep me going. No, it's green tea, excuse me, to keep me going tonight. Page 50. Assigning meaning. The third element to a placebo helps it work because when we give an action a new meaning, then we have added intention behind it. There are many red pills out there. He comes in with a red pill. I can't tell the difference between one red pill and another. They're changing them all the time for marketing purposes. But he says, this red pill will make you feel good. This red pill will heal what ails you. This red pill will lift your spirits. Now it has meaning. And he says, it will do this by doing this. And he gives you some type of education. So you develop an image for your meaning. And you enthusiastically receive it. And your heart leaps at the hope. You take it not once. One of the funny things about a placebo is it must be repeated a few times. Sometimes a lot of times, for it to drive through the barrier of your checkpoint in your consciousness to your subconscious. But when it gets into your subconscious mind, your body will start acting as if. And that's why pharmaceuticals go to such great extent to develop placebo, double blind, and even triple blind tests, because this is not woo-woo. This is a human experience. This works. And they've been using it against you for a long, long time. We are just now learning, hey, if it can be used by them on me, how come I can't just learn to do it and use it on me? There's no reason at all now. Dr. Joe's laid it out in this book. You can read this book once and put it on a shelf and you go, that was good reading, and I'll just be sad for you. Because there is power over your life if you get this book and really learn it. Bottom of page 50. The placebo works the same way. The more you believe that a particular substance, procedure, or surgery will work because you've been educated about its benefits, education will talk about the importance of gaining knowledge. Knowledge gives you brain, your cortex, your thinking mind, building blocks to make the placebo work. Because you've been educated about its benefits, the better your chances of responding to thought, improving your health, and getting better. In other words, if you place more meaning behind a possible experience with a person, place, or thing in your external environment in order to change your internal environment, then you're more likely to be successful at intentionally changing your inner state by thought alone. You just got the recipe for the rest of this book. Now, I recognize, you ever just read a recipe in a cookbook and you just go, I don't see it. How in the world is that going to be worth eating? But by the time an experienced cook goes through that recipe, it's delicious food. It's magic. You just got the recipe. As we go through this, we'll add the spice, we'll add the process, we'll add the special how-tos. If the placebo effect is a function of how a thought can change physiology, we could call it mind over matter. Then perhaps we should examine our thoughts and how they interact with our brain and body. And there's the rub. It's not just knowing the recipe. Excuse me. It's not just knowing the recipe. In us is that crazy 85% of our subconscious mind that is just sometimes working against us. Bottom of page 51. If it sounds as though I'm saying that we live a huge part of our lives in autopilot, that is exactly what I'm saying. That's right. He said before, 95% of our life is daily autopilot. Thinking the same thoughts leads us to making the same choices. Making the same choices demonstrates the same behaviors. Demonstrating the same behaviors leads us to the same experience. Creating the same experience leads us to produce the same emotions. And those same emotion drives us to the same thoughts. And you have a looping life. You ever heard the expression, history repeats itself? That's not just about nations and societies. That is a human experience on a daily basis. And that's just the human experience. That is what we all do. But for those who've learned to be controllers, we, the controllees, have been subject to this for a very long time. which affects your body chemistry in the same way, at the same chemistry signals, the same genes in the same ways, same genes expressed creating the same proteins. And you just have this loop going on, and you're not choosing. In truth, your past is your future. People want to change their behavior, change their environment, change, but they're not changing themselves. You are who and what you are, where you are. Your personal reality is an expression to a great part because of who and what you are. Change who and what you are, and your environment changes. Many times it's not pretty. Change can be very hard. It can. I've seen it. You know, the metaphor of to remodel your kitchen, you got to tear out the old stuff and put in new stuff. Change can be rather painful and ugly. And sometimes it just seems to happen around us. You ever seen somebody who quit smoking? Just a simple thing. They quit smoking. And in just a few months, they have a whole new set of friends because their old friends all smoked and they don't want a non-smoker around them. How about somebody who drinks? You take somebody who's built a community of drinkers around them and they decide to give up alcohol. Guess what? In a few months, they've got a whole different set of friends if they have any friends at all. On and on and on. If this is your personality, then your personality creates your personal reality. Remember, what you know gives you choice. What you choice expresses you. And what you express over and over again gives you attitude, compulsions, personality, and a personality that expressed long enough will create a personal reality. That's how it works. You don't like your personal reality? Change what you know, make different choices, express your life differently, make it every day new, and eventually it must change your personal reality. What you put out will be expressed. You cannot, well, you can, but expecting your personal reality to change without you changing is not very realistic. If you want to create a new personal reality, get a new life. That's Dr. Joe's words. You must become conscious of the unconscious behaviors you have been choosing to demonstrate that have led to the same experiences. That's how you change your reality. What does that have to do? What does that rather hard couple paragraphs have to do with this? Because we are learning to create our own placebo. Why? To create something different in our life. To create something different in our life, we need different thoughts, different actions, different choices, and we need it to go all the way to our subconscious mind. That is the secret of the placebo. And the 4 parts, all 4 parts are needed. You see, most people try to create a new personal reality at the same time, old personality, and it doesn't work. Your personal reality now is because in great deal part, okay, there's exceptions. Some people are just born into rough places and they have to work your way out. But as a general principle, your reality is a reflection to some degree of your personality. When you change, life will move you and the reality about you. It just works that way. So, if you understood this model, then you should agree with me that your new thoughts should lead to new choices. New choices should lead to new behaviors. New behaviors should lead to new experiences. New experience should lead to new emotions, so on and forth. This is called evolution. Your brain circuitry, your internal chemistry, your genetic expression, and ultimately your health should change as a result of this new personality. This new state of being, that's where you're going with this, is that it's not just an affirmation you say in the morning, I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good. And you get up and you're hell on the highway and a pain at work. Create a new being. It all seems to start with a thought. That is the general definition of epigenetics. When you change your energy, your body changes. A quick look at how the brain works. If learning is making new synaptic connections, then remembering is keeping those connections wired together. This is repetition. You read the book, it sounds really good. That's a really good idea. You put it on the shelf, and next week you're not sure what you read. Any neural networks that you had formed have dwindled away because of lack of use. The brain makes new changes. Our thoughts produce a blend of various chemicals called neurotransmitters, serotonins, and things like that. And we literally change our brain. But over time, if it's not refreshed, the body just goes and does something else with your brain. So when we repeat a thought or an experience enough times, our brain cells make not only stronger connections between each other, but also greater number of total connections. The brain becomes more enriched microscopically. Isn't that really? When somebody says, I changed my brain, you know what? I used to think that was just an expression, right? No, I changed my brain. Everybody says that. Guess what? You actually do. You actually change your brain. You actually make new networks and let other networks fade and disconnect. You've changed your brain. And in changing your brain, and you practice it, the body memory, which is every bit as important, start exercising these new choices. And now your body memory starts remembering, because of this practice, I said, the new you. And now in idle moments throughout the day, and we all have them, the body memory is rehearsing your new thoughts and building life memories. And that is the secret of the placebo. So as soon as you think new thoughts, you become changed neurologically, chemically, genetically. In fact, you can gain thousands of new connections in a matter of seconds. Isn't that cool? Not just a little thing, but thousands. And just by studying this book and trying to put it into practice, you change your brain and make new connections. However, unless the original learning experience is repeated over and over again, the number of those new connections falls back almost to the original level in just a few weeks. Practice, practice, practice. Dr. Joe, you cannot go to a Dr. Joe conference and not hear him say that word numerous times. Therefore, if we repeat what we learned enough times, we strengthen the community of connections. This is why it's important for us to continually update, review, and remember our new thoughts, choices, behaviors, habits, beliefs, and experience if we want them to solidify in our brain. You spending this evening with me, hearing Dr. Joe's words and hearing the passion I have for change. Tomorrow, are you just going to put it away? Or are you going to sit in your meditation and go, what was said? Let me go back. What are the four elements? What were those elements again? Write down those notes, memorize those words that represents form, and we'll add as over time those words which start as just words will start having more contact to them and more contact to them. And pretty soon you'll be able to sit and have a conversation with somebody about conditioning, expectation, meaning, and the emotion tied to it. Then you'll start going, I wonder if I could make my own placebo. One of the most basic principles in neuroscience states, nerve cells that fire together wire together. Here's where a placebo starts having more magic. As your conditioning works, you've built a little environment, you got your little meditation chapel going, you got your candle or your light or whatever tools you have to help you meditate. I started with all that stuff. Now I just sit here, close my eyes, and away I go. But that's just me. Different people do different things, and whatever works for you. So when you get all this stuff put together, you know what this is? This is my magic wand. This is a tool I used when I first began to learn how to focus my intents. It's just a tool. You think there's any difference between this and lighting a candle or putting a crystal on the bench in front of me or a magnet on my forehead? This is just oak. No, it's not even oak. I think I'm not sure what kind of what it is. Think about it. By reproducing the same level of mind over and over again, the most commonly fired neurological wired set of circuits has predetermined who you are as a result of your own volition. By reproducing over and over again the situation and the rehearsed environment of the condition, the meaning, the enthusiasm, the heart, the body will adjust to that. And the nerve cells that fire together, wire together, fire together. And you change your body neurologically, chemically. That's not woo-woo. That is hardcore pharmaceutical science. And they use it against you all the time. You think not? Have you ever seen a drug commercial? Oh my God, talking about powerful suggestion. So our goal then needs to be thinking outside the box to make the brain fire in new ways. What does it mean to think outside the box? That's not a derogatory term. As someone who worked in the engineering field, I thought very much in the box. I had a set of strict rules of my design. That's thinking in the box. Some of the engineers that did new work, they thought outside the box, but when it hit my bench, I was the guy that made their notebooks, drawings, plans, equations real. They would land this notebook page on my desk, and he said, when can you have this built for me, tested? I said, I can have it built for you in about a week and a half, tested another week. Fine, I'll see you in 2 to 3 weeks. And I'd be given, and that was my job. I'd go make a piece of notebook paper a real item. That was my job. Coolest electronic tech job I've ever seen. And I do whatever it takes to make this drawing, this note requirement real. So I had to think very much in the box. So what does it mean to think outside the box? In our society, health, we're giving the doctors say, do this, take this. That's thinking in the box. And we do what we're told because we are conditioned, primed, and expect. But when we're doing our own placebo, if we don't think new thoughts, we don't get new results. So you step out of the box of your normal life and you go, what is it I want? And you start choosing, I want health. For instance, I have this ailment. What would it take for me to think outside the box and find health? Not healing, ing. No, health. You think outside the box to get there. If you go to a doctor and ask him how to get healthy, he'll look at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. The doctors I've talked to couldn't even tell me about vitamins or supplements. They tell me they're not allowed to. Doctors do not practice health. They practice medicine, pharmaceutical medicine. my medical history the past few years has had me giving lots of bloods for different blood panels. It took me a while to understand the blood panel. Every item on that blood panel was directly related to a potential pharmaceutical product. Think about that. So what are you talking about, Ray? Well, I happen to go to find another place who focuses on health and supplements and ways to accentuate health. And they had me take a blood panel, and about a third of the items on their blood panel, maybe even half, was different from the ones on the doctor's blood panel. Why? Because they look for different things at different levels. What is your program? Can you step out of the box and create your own? We're about to open this up to a little discussion. I got one more little point I want to bring up that will really set the attitude. I'm on the bottom of 63. The little subtitle is called Crossing the River of Change. And the sentence I want to bring up is, the hardest part about change is not making the same choices we made the day before. What are you going to do differently now that you know? Like I said, this isn't woo-woo. This isn't mysticism. This is a human experience and it's raw science. You can do this. The placebo is real and it's been used against you for hundreds of years. Long, long time. The reason it's so difficult is that moment we no longer thinking the same thoughts that lead to the same choices, which cause us to automatically act in habitual ways so that we can experience the same events in order to reaffirm the same emotions of our identity, we immediately feel uncomfortable. This change isn't necessarily a pleasant thing. Our subconscious resists it to the point where this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel comfortable to me emotionally. If I get that in a conversation, I will say, congratulations, you're pretty close. As uncomfortable as that may be at first, that's the moment we know we've stepped into the river of change. That is your flag that says, oh, I must be doing something right. Beatrice, good evening. Thank you for raising your hand.
Oh, I just want to say that what has helped me is what Dr. Joe mentioned, that is mental rehearsal, right? Because I knew I was gonna be faced with certain challenge, and in that second I would go unconscious, right? It is incredible how you switch from conscious to unconscious when that triggers you. So what helped me was prepare every day for that moment that I could go unconscious. Um, it's interesting how easily we go from conscious to unconscious without
Oh, yeah.
realizing. So what has helped me really to prepare for that moment, and not all the, at the beginning, I couldn't make it, right? Even I had to prepare. So it took me a long time of, preparing. And at the beginning, I couldn't make it. But then, one day I start succeeding, right? It's it's a challenge to cross the river.
Yes. But you use the right word, daily. Day by day, you're doing the work. And it's your body is a habit machine, and it wants to do what it's been doing. So it takes work, and sometimes that work is uncomfortable. Very right, Patrice. Anybody else want to comment on those last few pages? Working the meditation, uh, working the placebo. We go from conditioning to expectation to meaning to emotions. Anybody built their own placebo before? I have, and with pretty significant results. Julie, thank you for raising your hand.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Julie. Thank you.
Okay. So I just want to build on what Patrice said. I'm working on the 21 days with abundance, and the abundance purpose is to be more in the present moment and to know how I feel. So to me, it's a daily practice. I'm traveling internationally to meet my parents, and then we are in a hotel. But every morning, doesn't matter where I am, I will carve a 10-minute time and write down how am I feeling right now, what triggers it, and how does it affect my thoughts. And then for me, I think that I realized through that process, I know more about myself. I make myself aware of different kind of anger. I made myself aware of different kind of happiness. So I think there's, like, I did not, it's not like really placebo, but I think it's before maybe get there, maybe I just wanted to kind of know myself more. But that's a daily practice, and then that's why I respond on the book club message is like, oh yeah, this is reconditioning. I'm doing the reconditioning. I'm adult. I can recondition anything I want to be. So I just want to
Yes.
share that, and I'm so grateful for you and then for the book club. It's just a
Thank you,
word that
Julie.
clicks. Yeah.
Thank you, Julie. There were some key points in that. The reconditioning, the resistance of the body, that even if it's just 15 minutes a day, make it a routine to reinforce those neural networks. I mean, this isn't woo-woo, folks. You're really just doing something human. Okay. I mean, it's human if the pharmaceuticals use it against you deliberately, consciously, and spend millions of dollars researching getting professionals to know what is the most efficient way to program you. That is how human this is. Dr. Joe is doing this to help you get free so you can start choosing your life. Karina, I see your hands up. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. So it just clicked for me after so many repetitions. It's
Yes.
funny. It is funny how it clicks all of a sudden without me expecting it. But it just clicked with me that I was doing something not related to Dr. Joe's work. I was conditioning myself to do the minimum 10,000 steps a day just to keep my health up. Right, because just simple walking is regulating so many functions in the body. And when I discovered my phone, that it was counting my steps. I discovered that I'm doing maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000, maybe 1,000, and I said, "Oh no, The minimum is 10,000. But how am I going to do that? And I was repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And now I'm getting so discomforted when I'm not doing that. So just repetition is really conditioning the body to feel, okay, you need to move, you need to walk, you need to go, you need to do this.
Right.
Yeah, and this is for my advantage. Now I'm trying to do Dr. Joe's work for different things, and here I'm still in trouble because intellectually I understand all this, but emotionally the moving from intellectual understanding to emotional, real expectation, real belief that I can do it, that I'm worthy, that it's there for me. That's my challenge right now with all the other stuff that I'm trying to do through Dr. Joe's work. So if anybody can share or elaborate, I would be very, very grateful.
Yeah, that's a good example. This doesn't have to be a mind job. It could be about exercise. There it is. It could be about breaking some habits. It could be about a health thing. A placebo could be about mental stress and breaking the habit of mental stress. It could be about healing. It could be for abundance. This isn't some narrow function of the human experience. The placebo is so human. It can be used in almost any aspect of your lifestyle. That's how big this is. That's how important it is. That's why Dr. Joe made a whole book on this, because this isn't something small.
Ray, I want to say something, and I'm not sure how to raise my hand. My apologies.
Okay, that's Tanya. Okay, Tanya.
Sorry. I just wanted to comment on the previous person that was speaking. And it's not realistic to say, okay, I'm going to set a goal for 10,000 steps and I'm only doing 2,000. So you have this thing, what I heard you say, and forgive me if I'm misinterpreting, that I'm failing or I'm, because that's not the message. You have to, crawl before you walk. You have to walk before you run. You have to build towards a goal. And it's so important that whether it's, a health goal or a meditation goal, that we're kind to ourselves, that we're gentle to ourselves. Just like when the monkey mind goes off and wanders when we're meditating, we don't scold the monkey. We pull the monkey mind gently back where we want it to be. So we are being kind. We are giving ourselves grace on the journey of getting where we want to be. But none of it's going to happen instantaneously.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I hope no one got that, because any process, Dr. Joe says no meditation is a bad meditation, even if you get up saying nothing happened. And I felt that way about my first 6 months. I would come in here and do the work and get up and go, nothing today. Was that a bad meditation? At the time, I didn't understand. I thought it was. It is in it is in hindsight that I learned I was laying foundation deep in me. I was overcoming programming deep in me that just took a lot of cleaning to get free. You take someone who's learning a new piece of music, and for the first week they play, it sounds disjointed, disconnected. Was that?
Okay, I'm ready.
Huh? Was practice a failure? No, it's part of the learning process. So like Tanya said, always be good to yourself as you do this work. The body will retain the lesson better when you are good to yourself as you do this work. You will have days when your meditation feels like you wasted time sitting in your chair. Always be good to yourself when doing this work. The body will learn better that way. Any more comments? Oh, I got a hand up on a person called Study. Hello, Study. What's your name?
Hi, it's Study. That's my nickname. How about you forgot from last week already? But anyways,
Well, I picked up my kids upstairs.
I seem to remember Study was named
know,
Pete last week.
Can you bring me my keys?
Pete, you got it.
Nina?
I'm not sure who's talking, but okay. So I wanted to share this a little bit.
En la peinadora.
A little bit.
It's Sandra Gutierrez.
Okay, go ahead, Pete.
A little bit for Karina, and yeah, or whatever was talking about the stepping goal and stuff like that. All right, so I grew up with to say I had a perfectionist mother was an understatement. When I got to boot camp and those guys would yell about cleaning, the drill sergeants would make us clean to perfect, right? And I was like, oh, I know who taught you guys.
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm like, you guys don't got, of course you would never vocalize this, but it's like you guys don't got shit on me,
Really, I can do this, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting yelled at 6, 7, 8 years old for not having something perfectly clean. Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, you got to do better than that. So, so to say I grew up with a perfectionist mother is an understatement. And so I developed a belief for a long time that if I wasn't hard on myself, that like I wasn't going to improve. So like say I had a goal to do more push-ups or whatever, So if I said I'm going to do whatever, 100 push-ups in a certain amount of time, because back then I could, I could still do them, but I can't crank them out. I have no idea what happened, but it's like, I mean, just the amount of push-ups I could crank out in such a short amount of time, it was phenomenal. Like I never knew that speed was going to go away. I never knew. I never thought of it. And so I would set a goal, okay, this time I'm going to do 105 push-ups in the same amount of time that I did 100, or this time I'm going to get to 200 push-ups. I won't time it as much, but I'm going to get to 200, and then if I didn't make it, I literally would like basically berate myself, because that's what I had gotten and been taught. And it took me a long time. And by the way, since I was that hard on myself, I never thought twice when I was that hard on other people. And, my mother did do a lot of good things for me. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you she was a complete witch or whatever. But when someone's that tough on you and you wake up one day and you realize it, you have a lot of hard feelings, mixed emotions about that too. But all of that to say, what I learned from that, and I had to learn this one. No one else could teach. People would say to me, hey, ease off, back off, or whatever, or give yourself a break, or this or that. And like that self-compassion. And I heard that for 10, 20 years as a young adult.
Wow.
And
this is my blanket.
And I didn't ever, I couldn't get where they were coming from. I really couldn't. And it was just through a series of, and of course that leads to failed relationships too, because people aren't expecting you have drill sergeant level, responses in the civilian life. Um, and so anyways,
So how does that apply to what you were hearing tonight on the placebo?
well, how that applies and what I was learning about that was, or what I wanted to share, what I've learned about that is, um, definitely give yourself a goal, but definitely like it's really we do so well with the reward drive, and we actually do horrible with the penalty drive. And we think the penalty drive and the reinforcement, and a little bit I heard Karina, and I'm not picking on Karina, I'm just offering anybody. I'm sharing this for the more I say it to other people, the more I get to hear myself say it out loud. You don't, you think, you would think like if I associate, if you give yourself a little bit of pain, like a little bit of a stimulus, I don't think that's bad because like literally you could use like an electronic dog collar. And what they explain about that is when you do it, you get like, if you give yourself a little rubber band, a snap of rubber band or electronic dog collar, what you do is you interrupt the pattern and you get yourself out of maybe like that self-defeating mechanism. Like, oh, I only did 2,000 steps today, but I'm here on the couch and I know I should go and whatever. That would be a good time to put a rubber band on, have a rubber band on your arm and pull the rubber band out, snap it. And so you interrupt the pattern. But if you throw more negative on top of that, more negative, which is what I used to do. And I think a lot of us were taught to do that. It doesn't help. It just confuses the body, and the mind. You're better off, using, that a reward. And then the other thing that I've picked up along the way is rather than repeating affirmations, which I did for quite a while, they kind of work, but it's very slow and it's not really consistent. You say like, okay, you say you want to do this. You say, I'm a 10,000 a day step walker. I'm a 10,000 step a day walker. I'm a 10,000 step a day walker. And what happens is your mind starts saying, yeah, bullshit. Yeah, right. That's why the last 3 times you've looked at your phone, you're under 5,000. So you want to challenge it. It's amazing. It's such a simple shift, but I've never heard this until the past year. You say to yourself, why am I 10,000 steps a day walker? Why do I have a fit and athletic body of an athlete? Why do I do that? And so your brain then has to come up with when you ask it that why question, your brain has to come up with reasons.
And let me tell you the reason why. And you've heard me say it before. Love yourself first, most, and always. Dr. Joe says people change for one of 2 reasons: trauma and love of their future self. If you don't have a love call in your life, making those choices that Pete was talking about becomes kind of hard, because you're going to say, why bother? And because you don't love yourself enough, which in our society is pretty common, people are taught not to love themselves.
Yeah.
They're taught depression. They're taught depression because it makes you dependent. Love yourself most and always. Find that future self that you want and have that a vision every time you wake up in the morning. I want that. As we get into blessing of the becoming supernatural, there'll be a lesson on that, setting an intention. I hope you join us for it, but it's how you do it, and I do it. That is something I do. Just like this placebo book is something I do. And that is why I've had some crazy healings, because I do this. This is real to me. And that's why you hear me speak with such emphasis, because to me, this isn't just a book study. This is something I do. And if you can get it like I did, it will change your life. Let me continue. Thank you, Pete. Usually when people step into the river of change, that void between the old self and the new self is so uncomfortable that they immediately skip back to being their old selves again because it's uncomfortable. Some people call this experience the dark night of the soul, that place in between decisions. How many people have struggled with a decision because they know what they want, but they just can't make themselves let go of things, commitments, environments, things that they have adjusted their life to. They know they should, they want to, but they've got programs in them telling them to do that. They got emotional connections in their environment telling them to hold on. There's a name for that, and it's called the dark night of the soul. This can be for things as simple as breaking a food habit. I eat too much sugar. I'm going to quit going to ice cream shops. I've got a beer habit. I'm going to quit drinking beer. Just drinking beer, quitting drinking beer is one thing. You quit the whole community that goes with it when you do that. That is a dark night of the soul. I'm going to break the habit of anger, and I'm going to do everything I can learn to break the habit of anger. You know, you built a community around you being angry, and they expect you to be angry. It's going to be difficult to break that. I'm going to change my religion. I'm going to change my faith. I'm going to change my spiritual presence. You've built a whole consciousness around those ideas and changing them, choosing differently. That in-between place, that struggle time, is called a dark night of the soul. Now, this can be big, and this can be as simple as in your meditation, I'm going to step across this threshold that I've resisted. And you've got to overcome an anxiety and forgive something. That in-between place is called a dark night of the soul. And some people find that very uncomfortable for their situations. As the new self is born, we must be biologically different. I like that word must. If we are not biologically different, did we really change? If we change our thoughts, we change our neurons. If we didn't really change the chemicals in our body, did we really change our mind? So by nature, most of us are thinking in the past because we're using the same hardware and software programs from our past memories. Most of our day is past, and we're trying to change our future while we live in the past, creating an image of the future from the past. It's not an easy, sometimes it's really not an easy thing to do. A state of being is when your mind and body are working together. That's what I said earlier. When you can we do this all day long. Our mind is in sync for what we learned. We go to work the same way. We eat the same way. We greet each other the same way. We are in a state of being that is memorized. To change that takes some inertia, some effort, takes reprogramming the mind, often takes new knowledge, not changing from the same menu from the same restaurant. You need new knowledge. Enter Dr. Joe, and his knowledge is different from what is in the world, what is in the religion, what is in psychology. His meditations are different from those guys sitting on a pillow going, Om. You want to change, get a new teacher, get new knowledge, make new choices. So your present state of being is your genuine mind-body connection. Those emotions, which are nothing more than chemical records of the past experience. I don't emotionally feel this is the right thing. All you're doing is telling me that you're memorized a past, and you believe the emotions that that past gives you as a correctness in your life. You're telling me what you want to change, and yet you believing the emotions of the past that put you there is correct. Don't tell me you're trusting your emotions. Those emotions, which are nothing more than the chemical records of the past experience, are driving our thoughts and are being played over and over again. As long as these continue, we're living in the past. Today may be today, but our body is living in experience that was past, sometimes years ago. And yet our bodies are still living as if that's today. There are new thoughts. There are no new thoughts ignited, no new chemicals made, no new behaviors demonstrated, no new experiences embraced, and no new feelings created when you're living in the past. You're just the same person this year as you were years ago. So only when the brain produces a lot more heightened emotions does the cell become willing to open its doors. If you get new knowledge, you read this book, and you put the book on the shelf and you go on with your life, you did not form solid pathways. You did not change your life. Reading this book is not enough to change your life. I'm hoping you make this a part of you that's worth practicing. I'm hoping I can inspire you enough to get you to work to do this. When feelings have become the means of thinking in this manner, we can't think greater than how we feel, then we're in the program. When you can't think greater than, well, this just don't feel right, and you can't think past that, you're stuck in a program. And many of those programs weren't even of your choice. You're living your life because somebody else programmed you in a way that somebody else programmed you, and you think you did it. Step out of that picture and ask yourself, if you were free, would you choose that for you? Would you? I had an anger problem. I couldn't choose my way out of anger because I didn't even know I could. I didn't know that was a choice on my life experiences. I started studying this and I went, you mean I can choose? I have a choice? What can I choose? What about future self? I pay my bills. That's my future self. And then what? And then what? And I started, if you could be someone, not do a job, if you could be something, what would you want to be? Fall in love with it and watch your life incrementally move in that direction if you love it. You can think positively all you want, but that 5% of your mind that conscious will feel as if it's swimming upstream against the current of 95% of your subconscious programmings. Whatever negativity harboring for the last 35 years, the mind and the body working in the opposition. Your mind's trying to go, I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good. And your body's going, you're a pain in the butt. I'm talking about me, of course. So when your body makes these autonomic physiological changes, it's because you have associated the future thought standing in front of an audience delivering this presentation, past emotional memory. It's talking about a guy who had a bad experience public speaking. Now, every time he just thinks about public speaking, he gets freaky. So he's asked to give a teaching or something, and he can't, because he's living in the past that was years ago and he still can't get past it. Do you have a trauma that prevents you from being free? I did. I had a bunch of them I had to work through. You wouldn't know it now, but at one time I couldn't hardly talk to people about anything other than my work. I want to point out that feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences. You got feelings and emotions in your life. They're just your body remembering your past, sometimes years ago. If you are having an emotional reaction, a feeling, an emotion, think about the foundation of that and ask yourself, is it time to let that one go? Why do I get so afraid of a dog barking at me? It's time to let that one go. You associated a cause and effect, and your own conditioning process began somewhere in your past. And over time, you've just rehearsed it and rehearsed it and rehearsed it and drove that event into your body, and your body's playing that record as emotion. Now let's draw a parallel. We just got through talking about a placebo. What is a placebo? It's an emotional event with a story behind it. Some dog barks at you and chases you, and you rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it. And now that event with meaning and emotion is rehearsed again and again. Now you have the placebo of the dog chasing you. Think about it doing something good. And you rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it with emotion. Now you have that good event being played out in your body. Same mechanism, different story. As you expect the thought that your future will bring, you will be more likely feeling of your, I messed up that sentence. As you expect the thought that your future, public speaking or anything else, will be more like the feeling of your past, just like magic, your body and mind automatically subconscious responds just like the past. You're afraid of a dog because he chased you. You see a dog, he barks. Don't even have to bark at you. Just like, and all of a sudden, you are adrenaline affecting because of a dog, because of an event that happened years ago. That is the placebo effect. Or as we learned last week, that may be called the nocebo effect, do harm. So then, thinking back to the beginning of this chapter, where you read that placebo is created from three elements: conditioning, expectation, and meaning, you can now see that you are your own placebo. We've been doing it all our life, accidentally, and we've been having it done to us quite deliberately. Wouldn't you like to create, first of all, wouldn't you like to free yourself from the programs that other people put in you? Wouldn't you like to free yourself from the knee-jerk reactions from things in your life that you didn't know where you could let go of? Wouldn't you like to be able to do that? There was a conditioning, there was an expectation, there was a meaning and rehearsal and heart. Think back to something that traumatized you and you're still, did somebody assault you and you're still scared to death about getting out of your house? Are you still having a hard time driving because you were in an accident? Do certain people who look certain ways just make you just growl? Do a car backfiring makes you head for cover? Okay, I'll tell the story. I'd been out of the Army, 3 years by now. I was downtown Pensacola, downtown Dallas, visiting a friend. It was the end of the year, New Year's Eve, And we were just having dinner and a few cocktails. This is years before I got sick. I was just out of the Army. And we're just over his house having a good time, a wife and friends. And somebody set off a loud firecracker. Reality went away. A few moments later, I come to, and I am hiding behind the couch, shaking like a kick puppy. And I can't control it because I am hearing pop, 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 fireworks going off just a block away. That is a placebo effect. That is otherwise known as PTSD, military post-traumatic stress. I really did. I'm standing around the living room having a good conversation. Pow, 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 pow. And the world went away. And I come to hiding behind a couch. Everybody else is standing there looking at me because they said I went over the back of the chair and over the back of the couch in like 2 steps and disappeared. Boom, I was gone. Talking about reaction. I can laugh now, but that was so embarrassing. It was like, here's Mr. Tough Guy, you know, Mr. Veteran, you know, just baddest dog in the junkyard, and somebody goes boom, and I jump and hide like a scared puppy. That's placebo. That's conditioning, expectation, meaning with a lot of heart, with a lot of repetition too, I can tell you that. Sandra, I see your hand up. Thank you.
Hi, Ray. That was
Hi.
actually how are you? Thank you for doing this. So what did you do when you get all those triggers and is it triggered in the moment? So you I know you reacted. You went under your under the table or close to the couch. So now,
I went over and hid behind the couch.
oh, and that was super fast, I guess.
Yeah, here I am, over 200 pounds, Mr. Tough Guy, and boom, I'm gone.
So now, what is your reaction to it? How will you be able to? Okay, you will be able to rewire the feeling when you listen to the fireworks, and now if you get exposure to the same, what do you do?
Well, this was way before I got sick with cancer. This is 30 years ago. And how did I overcome it? I knew that I need to expose myself to bangs safely.
Okay.
And I had to get used to the environment. And I did what I've said, devalue it, become familiar with it and devalue it, devalue it, devalue it. These are just bangs. And so I watch movies with bangs. I just learned to devalue and become adjusted to it. It was years later when I thought I had desensitized myself pretty good that I went to a very popular movie, Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump has a scene where the soldiers are walking through the jungles in Vietnam. What I had heard numerous war movies, bang, 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 you know, Hunt for Private Ryan and stuff like that. They were all phony sounds. The sounds of Forrest Gump, they had digitized the rifle sounds. And my mind knew the difference. When that crack of a Slitnikov AK-47 went off, I kid you not, the hair on my arms went up and I wanted to run out of that theater. I had to grab the handrails because I was listening to a real Slitnikov AK-47 rifle firing. And it was a job to hear that and not find a hole to get into. I'm telling you, these programs can be deep. There are a few people in this group, possibly, they're also veterans, and they're going, yep, they're deep. How do you get past it? On a beginning level, you do what it takes to desensitize it. I didn't expect Forrest Gump to have digitized sounds. I would have prepared myself. Because most movie sounds, they go bang, 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 and everybody accepts what they are. I'm telling you, every weapon has a unique sound. A combat veteran can tell you what weapon is being fired when he hears it. It's important to, otherwise you shoot at the wrong people. So, and that goes with a lot of different things, like a good auto buff. The car drives by and he can tell you what kind of car it is, the engine in it, and whether it's well tuned enough, just listening to it. Someone who's really into music can tell you one instrument out of an orchestra that's playing out of tune. He says that third violin is off half a note. A combat veteran can tell you that weapon is the bad guy's weapon. Duck. You get down. And so, yeah, I reacted to this noise for years. And I was still a very angry person in 2009. And my body had finally got tired of it. And I was going to die of cancer if I didn't change. I managed to live with cancer for 9 years until I started doing Dr. Joe's work. And I had my great meditation where I changed. No ifs and buts, no easy words. And I got up the floor and I had ended my years of cancer. And, but you gotta let it go. You gotta change. You gotta surrender. You gotta find yourself worthy to be free. You gotta love yourself. All of these things point to the same thing. So how do you break a habit? Well, you start with being real. You might have to just change your environment. But what if your condition is at work? What if your condition is in a relationship that you can't just change? When you sit in your chair, practice, what would it be like to be a happy person? And you work to put that on. What would it feel like to me to be at peace without anger and learn to love myself? When I started this, I didn't even like myself. Forget loving myself. I had nothing in me to like, was my opinion. That's where I started, really. I had to learn to even like myself. My life literally depended on me succeeding in that little chore. That's how deep a hole I was in. But I kept working on it and working on it. I start forgiving myself, letting go. Thank you, Tiffany. I see your hand.
Hi there. I was just curious. You were talking about having cancer and you started meditating and you cured yourself. What were some of the steps that you did? Were you just saying to yourself that you were cured, or were you talking to yourselves? Were you talking to, were you just saying to yourself or in your mind that you no longer have cancer and you're healed, you're whole? What was that process like?
It's a fair question, and none of those questions came to my mind. Seriously. I learned early that all I am interested in is my ideal health. From my beginning to the end, I had no idea how I was going to get there. Everybody told me I was dead meat in just a few years. And I heard that.
So were you visualizing being healthy in your mind's eye?
I was visualizing a perfect energy being. That's all I knew. And I didn't have all this information. I had no one to talk to. I was reading the book, and all I got from the book was to Listen to the meditation, breathe, and I would do the blessing of the energy centers 1, 2, and 3 again and again and again and again. And in those simple meditations, you learn to focus on your breathing. An unexpected lesson that's in it is to do those meditations intently. You have to take your mind off of your world. I worked until I could take my mind off the world and I could go into awareness and experience my energy centers. And I had no idea that was the magic sauce.
And what were those meditations?
Just blessing of the energy centers 1, 2, and 3. That's where I learned to meditate and go into awareness.
I'm new, so I
Okay.
don't know anything about it. I have some of his other books, but I'm new to it. So
I suggest you go to drjoedispenza.com. No separations, one word, drjoe dispenza.com, and look for Blessing of the Energy Centers 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you so much.
Number 1 will give you the concept. It's rather boring. It's a simple meditation, and it just gives you the concept that's taught in the Breaking the Habit of the energy centers. Chapter 2 is about your second energy center, environment. Chapter 3 is about your first energy center, your body. Chapter 4 is about your third energy center, your time, your greater environment. Chapter 5 summarizes it. Chapter 6 is the heart, knowing to doing to being, and getting incoherent with your heart. And then chapter 7, the rest of the book, I called, If It's So Easy, Then Why Is It So Hard? That's what I call it, the rest of it, because they make it sound like, well, you just do this. Well, like we talked about in this book, it's called The Dark Night of the Soul. It is hard when you're compelled because of the deep programmings that you had. It's hard to let go of that stuff. It's hard to justify in your mind, I just want to make it stop. I don't care for justice anymore. I don't care for vengeance anymore. I don't care for debt payment anymore. I just want to let go. I was going to die of cancer if I didn't solve this. You think I didn't have motivation to watch my wife try to hold back tears every time she see me? You think I wasn't motivated? So I would do Blessing of the Energy Centers, and he would take us through the different energy centers and practice going out and in space and doing it again and breathing. One of the unexpected things I learned was to tune into my awareness and quit thinking about my stuff. And every time I think about my stuff, I bring it back, and think about my stuff and I bring it back. And at first I couldn't hold a thought for seconds. And then I got longer and longer and longer as I disciplined myself and practiced. And eventually I could do it for periods of time. And eventually I started getting feedback where my lessons I'd meditate on these lessons, and all of a sudden I'm getting lessons coming back to me, taking me a step further in my understanding. I was being coached by my spirit guides. Don't make a big deal out of that statement. Everybody has spirit guides. I promise you that you do. But it's up to you to get the noise out of your head and tune into them. They're there talking to you. It's you who can't hear them, not them who's not talking. But to do this, you got to clean your mind. Clear your mind might be a better word. And you do that by learning peace, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, until the noise in your head. And then you discipline your busy mind. Okay, I'll take care of that later. I got a busy mind. I got chores to do. I got things to do, stuff I forgot to do. all right, you forgot this, or I'm trying to do something and it isn't working. Why isn't that working? In the middle of meditation, I go, oh, that's why it's not working. I've figured out how to do something, you know. But how, to the root of your question, how did I do it? Well, it was sometime a year after I started Dr. Joe that I was sitting in this chair you see me now, and I've got a 6th melanoma surgery. They're going to cut me a 6th time, and I've got to face my skin cancer dermatology clinic again, and they're going to burn off more basal and squamous cells again. And I am like getting angry in me, make it stop. And I'm sitting here holding that image of my ideal energy being perfectly healthy, and I can't get across that bridge. I don't know how. I'm telling you how I felt. And I'm sitting there just doing my very best, going into that no place, no body, no time. And one day the world went away. And the next thing I knew, I was on the floor. To this day, I still have no memory of me sitting in this chair and when I woke up on the floor. I don't. The world went away. And I was being blessed electrically. And first word I had to learn was surrender. I had to let go of my fight and let go. It was not my struggle to survive for ego anymore. They would take care of it. So I said, fine. If now is the time for me to go, you can have me. And I let go of my ego. And I was ready to let my spirit go. I totally surrendered. And electricity continued. And then it stopped again. I went, what? I don't even know what else you want. And I learned the second hard word for me, worthiness. This dark, sad man had to learn that despite his darkness and his sadness, he too was worthy to receive from the kingdom. He too was an expression of the divine. And that was the root of the expression you'll hear me say, I am. I am an expression of divine. And when I got that in me, my world blew up in my heart. And I knew I was not that angry, dirty, unloved veteran who did all those terrible things. I knew I was an eternal energy being loved by the divine. And that is who I am now. And I got up off the floor, tears, my ears are wet from the tears. 2 weeks later, I went into surgery, my 6th cancer surgery. And the cancers in my body had died and were metastasized. You know, when the body just starts reabsorbing it. I never did learn the medical term for that. My body was reabsorbing the tissue. They cut it open and it was all gray and ugly. This incision didn't even bleed. They just this gray mat, and they just cleaned it up, stitched it up. Out of my 6 surgeries, I've got scars for 5 of them. That one healed so completely, I don't have a scar for it. And it was just a big, ugly wound they put on me. Didn't even scar when they cleaned it. Did I say I want to heal it? No. I just wanted to make it stop. I want not just my health. I wanted to make the pain in me stop. Make this stop. You follow that? Remember what we said, conditioning, expectation, meaning, change. I just did what breaking the habit taught me to do. I did morning meditations every day. I did meditations multiple times a day, driving that image, breathing, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, saying change, I'd be driving along and say, change. My wife would say, what did you say? Oh, I said, change. It's something I'm learning from Dr. Joe. She'd go, okay. Well, I finally had my breakthrough and the cancer ended. I don't have skin cancer in any form anymore. And it ended. It didn't heal. It ended. But that's not the end of my story. For many of you have heard me say this so many times. Next year, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. Say what? I healed that. I don't know if I said that. And my angel kind of went, what did you say? I was healed. There you go. From colon cancer by doing what I learned in this book. I consciously, deliberately planned a placebo and worked it and worked it and worked it. And when I went into surgery, they rolled me out without ever cutting me. I've got pictures of tumors in my MRI. I was biopsied with colon cancer. They didn't even see a polyp to cut. They told me to get dressed and go home. That's what this book taught me.
Ray, were the doctors happy for you? Because I've heard
No.
stories. I've heard stories where they're mad because they didn't heal you.
She treated my wife rather, I don't even know a word for it. I'm sitting in recovery, trying to get over the gas that they gave me, and sitting there, and my wife, and where's the surgeon? Where's the surgeon? So my wife hunted the surgeon down. The surgeon says, you know, my wife says, well, how come you know? Well, there was nothing there. My wife says, look, we've got pictures, diagnosis, biopsy that says he had colon cancer. What's going on? How come you didn't do anything? Says, Mr. Wire, talking to my wife, I am the head of internal medicine surgery. I went in as far as my instruments go. There was nothing there. Tell your husband to get dressed and go home. That was not exactly a celebration. Really? Did I tell myself to heal? No. I did a goofy placebo. I told myself a state of being that was an ideal self. We'll go into that in details as we go through the book. And I practiced it. I had it memorized so that if I ever did a daydream in a car and doing something, I got a few minutes, I'd run that placebo through my mind and my body would think that is the funniest picture it's ever seen in its life. That's the emotion, gets the heart involved. I did it, I really did. I've got 3 inches of medical records verifying what I'm doing. And now, just to validate that I had such a toxic life, I've been diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. I've got leukemia. From 2020, I was diagnosed with it, and my lymphocyte count went up and up and up. I couldn't find, I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't find the magic button. In 2024, which was a 5th year, I had reached the level of phase 1 where my lymphocytes were starting to potentially cause issues in my body. And somehow I found a magic environment. I was at that time listed as military medically just 100% disabled. I was once again told this was going to kill me. How am I doing? Somewhere in later 24, I designed an I am meditation, and I began electrifying myself in that meditation. In 6 months, my lymphocytes dropped so much. I am now just outside of numbers on my lymphocytes, and the VA says, well, looks like you're healed. We're going to change your benefits from 100% to 0. You want validation? How's that? Nobody in the history of VA Medical Center has a record of someone self-healing leukemia. No one. There are many stories of people overcoming cancer. Think about what I just said I did. And I did it by doing this work. Alan, I see your hand is raised.
Hey, buddy. I hope you're well. I don't see a tan on you from your Florida trip.
Well, I don't tan. I turn pink and then I peel. And if you look, I'm a little bit on the pink side. Oh, my back is itchy. Oh my goodness, I'm peeling in the back. If you didn't say anything, I wasn't going to say anything. But every now and then you see me squirm because an itch just becomes unbearable. So my wife was rubbing oil on me twice a time a day.
Nice. Question. I was wondering, as you were doing these meditations and before you went back to the hospital for the surgery or for checkups, did you feel in the progress, like that you're progressively healing? Did you feel that on the day-to-day that you're feeling incrementally better, stronger, more energy?
No.
So it was a surprise, like that the doctor told your wife that you're clean.
I showed up for colon surgery expecting to have 4 inches of my colon cut out and given a bag for the rest of my life. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just know I was doing the work with all the heart I could, and I was having lightning, electrifying meditations. I mean, I just, like, you ever seen these pictures of people in dispensers going, ah? I was having them here all by myself.
Yes.
It's like that. I was having crazy meditations. So, but did I know I got healed? No, I just knew I was changing. I just knew it because you don't get plugged into the divine electric circuit and not change. Your definition of life changes.
Yes. So like Dr. Joe says, when you least expect it, the unexpected happens.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting here by myself getting electrocuted. And so both of those big meditations, both of those big healings, I did all by myself. I had no community. I've never been to a conference. I've never had any online teaching. I had the books and I had a couple meditation recordings. That's what I used. But I used a lot of passion. I wanted it, man. Sometimes you'll hear me say, okay, how bad do you want it? If there's anything in your life you're not going to give up, that's probably one of the anchor points that keeps you where you are. If you're so proud of being Mr. Tough Guy, you'd better give it up. If you're so proud of your religion, go to your religion, let them heal you. If you're so proud of being this or that, go to them, ask them to heal you. You got to give it up. You got to let go of it. There's no holding. You cannot bring any of that stuff with you once you go through that gate. You've heard me say my little expression. I go into the darkness to find the light. I go into silence to hear the voice. I go in alone and find a chorus of teachers. I go before the throne as a pauper, empty hands. And when I do, I'm received as a prince and an heir to the throne and an inheritor of the infinite potential. But you got to go in empty-handed. If you think this life is more important, essentially, you can have it. Okay, go ahead. How's that working for you?
Ray, can you help me understand when you say you've got to let it all go, you've got to leave it behind. Can you, we're hearing your story of what you left behind, but can you help us extrapolate what the rest of us need to leave behind as we.
The only thing you bring is I am. Your identity, your value. I'm a technician. No, you're not. I'm a soldier. No, you're not. I'm a veteran. No, you're not. I'm a husband. No, you're not. I am this, I am that. No, you're not. You are a divine electric energy being. That is what you are. You are a son of the Father. That is who you are. In your case, you're a princess.
Thank you, Ray.
That is who and what you are. These other things are roles we play in this life. The Western language makes it difficult in this environment. There are times when I say I'm a veteran. When I talk to people about my family business and bills and going to the doctors and things like that. But in my mind, I smile and say, no, Ray, I know what you are. You are a divine son, an heir to the throne. Watch what you can do. That program is deep in me now.
Thank you, Ray.
But you leave all that you are. When you go into that meditation, when you go into that place of awareness, like I said, awareness is the goal. And you work your way through the meditation, as Dr. Joe says. When you go to that place that says, I am nobody, no place, no time, you've heard Dr. Joe say that in a lot of his meditations. You have supposedly left behind the roles you play in this life. You may be a mother, a wife, a boss of your company, or just somebody who sweeps the floor. No derogatory meant with that. But all of those are roles you play. When you go into that nobody, no place, no time, who are you? What are you? You are an energy being and a son or a daughter of the Father. You are an heir to the throne and an heir to the infinite potential. At that point, you can tune into your inheritance, create an energy field, and begin to draw that to you. But you've had to let go of the stuff. As long as you're sitting here saying, no, I'm the boss of this company and I'm important, the kingdom will go, okay, go for it. Once you cross that bridge as nobody, no place, no time, everything else is just a role you play in this life. This life is finite. It will end. I haven't met anybody that's not true of. I've touched the other side. Death has come calling for me a few times. And I said, no, I've got work to do still. I'm not done learning. And worthiness. Oh my goodness, that was hard for me. I thought surrender was hard. For me to give up worthiness, I had to go all the way back to my childhood religious upbringing. That one was deep. The idea that I was worthy. Me? With my darkness, my pain, was I worthy? Every bit the same conversation that I am supposed to give up my ego roles. I'm supposed to give up my ego pains. They're just roles we played in this life. The pain and the glory. Just give them up and become nobody, no place, no time. And in that, you'll discover who and what you really are, an eternal energy being. It's in a lot of Dr. Joe's meditations. It's right there. You go through 7 and go into 8 and become nobody, no place, no time. There it is. Again and again and again. It's awareness is the goal. Awareness will take you into that present moment. Awareness will help you turn off the stimulus of your busy mind. Awareness will teach you to let go. Awareness is the goal. Many of you have seen my little poster I made about the guy sitting there. Awareness will quiet your head so that you can hear your loved ones trying to teach you internally, quietly, that quiet voice. You can get there learning this work. You really, really can. If this dark, crazy veteran can do it, oh my goodness, you beautiful spirits can do it too. I'm doing my very best to reveal what Dr. Joe has taught here. The first thing is conditioning. Create a condition. What is condition? It is a person, place, thing, environment. You are the environment. You are the condition. Make a little ritual that you sit down with, light a candle, get an incense, put a crystal in front of you, get a magic wand like I used to do. You know, I was a Harry Potter fan, so I made a wand thinking that would help me. I did. Second, after conditioning, expectation. I expect that I can. Dr. Joe gave me the promise. If I do the work, some of you have seen my video. I named it the work and the promise. I expected the work to give me the promise. And that work had meaning. And that meaning moved my heart. And I did it again and again and again and again. And I survived. I survived enough that the VA is threatening to take me from 100% to 0 benefits because I'm not sick anymore. Like I said, how's that for validation? Chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Look it up. CLL. See if the internet can tell you a story of anybody being self-healed. I looked. I couldn't find one.
Ray, can you talk to us a little bit about how you were able to connect with your guides and hear their messages?
I did not do it deliberately. I simply did the work again and again and again and again. The blessing of the energy centers in those first 2 meditations, and my mind got quiet. And in that quietness, I started getting lessons back in my head. And as I built confidence in that, it's like my confidence gave it permission. It's in that confidence and in that quietness, all of a sudden I felt a presence. It's like I'm tuned in to that nobody, place, no time. And I'm going, what do I do here? It's like somebody turned out the lights, but no one told me the rules. You know what I mean? Okay, now what do I do? And I'm sitting there doing them, following meditations, and all of a sudden I clearly perceived presence about me. And I tuned into them. And I started not a conversation, but phrases. What about, have you, and this, and that, little hints. And they, only a couple times did they sound like a voice. Mostly it was cognitive, clear, you know, when you get when you learn something, you know, you didn't know a minute ago, and it would come up like a memory out of the back of my head. That's what most of it was. There was a few times it was as clear as if someone was standing in front of me going, hey, Ray, what did I do to get there? I had no teacher. I was just clearing and healing my head. That's what I did. I did not expect to have a teacher. I expected to be healed. That just comes with being healed. That is how normal that is. When you're healed, mentally and spiritually, when you're quiet, emotionally, mentally, they're there talking to you, loving you, trying to guide your life, trying to give you counsel all the time. We're just busy-headed people, and we don't listen. I still have to sit and purposely hunt them, find them, tune into them. And sometimes I'm just too busy trying, because trying doesn't do it. Yeah, they'll laugh at me when I said I was trying to do it. Trying doesn't do it. Allowing does it. When you get quiet, when you are at peace, when you are at a place where you can hear, then you will. Because they're there always. They're part of life expression. You ever gone to a park bench and just listen, got real quiet, didn't want to disturb the birds or the squirrels running around, and you just sat quietly, breathed gently, sat in peace, not worry about people around you, and listen? That's very close to what I'm talking about. If you try, that energy is analytical and you shut it down. It's receiving ship. It's gratitude. And I just did it. That's just where my journey of meditation took me.
How many times a day do you typically meditate now?
Now, I generally meditate once a day, sometimes twice. Then I was meditating 2 or 3 times a day, 45 minutes to an hour each time.
Thank you, Ray.
Then I was still learning awareness. Now I sit down and I take a breath and I move into awareness. Awareness is how I meditate now. I don't have to work at it. I take a breath and I instantly perceive my space. Because I've done it so many times, my body knows this is how I want to do it. I had to learn that.
So are you doing Dr. Joe's guided meditations, or are you just doing it for memory?
Generally, yes. Generally, yes. There's a few others I do. One of my favorite is just when I want to just not work at something, just cruise. I have a hand pan meditation sound that I go to. HAND space PAN, just like it sounds like, hand pan. Ding, 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 ding. They have a kind of upside down bowl they play on. Meditation. And it just, my head goes away. It's just it's random enough that my mind finds no pattern in it, and I just trip out, go away. Another one I like is beach sounds. Waves are they're rhythmic, and yet they're random. There's no pattern that my mind can cling to. So I just sit there and I picture waves, and I just go away. So I don't follow any guru. I don't have any other teachers. I study some stuff. I'm doing a little rereading of the Kabbalah. I'm kind of fascinated by that. But that has nothing to do with meditation. A little to do with mysticism, but not meditation. The principles of meditation are clearly taught. Let me say it better. The foundational principles of meditation are clearly taught in Dr. Joe's 3 books. The second chapter of Becoming Supernatural is called The Present Moment. Book 1, Breaking the Habit, he teaches you to tune in. Book 2, You Are the Placebo, he talks about conditioning your environment. Book 3, he talks about the present moment. The present moment is the evolution of those 3 books. It's the evolution of the idea of being at peace and awareness. When you're aware, you find your present moment and the world goes away. And when you do that, you are tuned in. You are potentially tuned in to the infinite potential. And the gates of heaven are available to you. Christy, I see your hand up. Thank you. Hi, Christy.
Hey, I'm going back to the meditation, because we've all been doing this for a moment, and you were just touching on the different things that maybe you or I or some of us have tried before this. So we've all we're bringing other experiences into this sometimes. I know I am.
Good. That's very true. I'm with that.
So my question is this. When we're doing these meditations, is it just me, or is this the way we're supposed to be seeing this, or is this like a, pie tastes different to everybody kind of a thing? But when when he starts saying, okay, the space your nostrils takes up.
That's pretty weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but tonight was the first time, and I've done meditation for a long time, but tonight really slammed my head against the wall. I really felt it, I mean, I was like, okay.
You felt the wall, or you felt the meditation?
I felt the whole, staying, my mind wasn't wandering. I was able to stay on track. You know what I'm saying?
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, and this is I've been doing this crap for a long time. So I was like, whoa, okay, this is boo. But one thing that's never changed for me, and I just wonder if it's just me, if this is part of my, what did we talk about, conditioning in my brain. Is this something I need to let go of, or is this right? And this could be something to do with the drugs that I did when I was a lot younger. I don't know. But when I start visualizing this stuff, okay, and I'm thinking about the space, it is very easy for me to do that. And this is something else. I realize now at 64 years old that not everybody sees pictures in their head. I thought everybody did, but apparently everybody doesn't. I do. So in my head, as we're hearing that, I am, that picture they show you of the camera backing away from the earth?
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing in my head, is like, there I am. There's my nose, there's my nostrils, there's my space, and then my space, and then my space within the space. And then I just start backing away, and I start thinking, I'm not shit. I'm just part of this bigger thing.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering, is that what I'm supposed to be thinking? Because that's
I think
where
that's
I am.
absolutely a beautiful picture.
Okay.
Because what you described to me is you separated your consciousness from your physical experience.
Oh,
and your
yeah. And I'm
consciousness.
just wondering, is that just me being goofy?
I think you ought to go get yourself a nice hot cup of tea and celebrate that one, because that is exactly the goal. Because you have experienced personally that you are not your body.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
Do you know how what a big accomplishment that is? That's huge.
Well,
because now you've got
I'm crazy,
No, you're not crazy. That's one of the most sane things you could tell me.
Yeah, that we're not in one-on-one. This is only me, but one-on-one, we're really insignificant. We're all just fragments of.
I don't like your conclusion. Your observation was correct, but let me tell you how significant you are. You are an heir to the throne of the kingdom. You are an heir to the infinite potential. You are so significant that you don't know it. And the hardest lesson you're going to learn is your worthiness. When you get the lesson worthiness in your heart, you will not say again that you're insignificant. because you,
Well, I
you,
don't mean not insignificant. I just mean in a big picture of things that we're all part of that same big loving thing, and we are significant, but there's a source of which
oh,
we flow.
absolutely. There is a source,
You know, the
but
fountain from where we flow from, and that's the most.
absolutely.
So,
But you
yeah.
you try to convince me that you don't matter, and I will jump all over it, because you are a significant spiritual being. You are an expression of the divine. You are a jewel in the king's kingdom.
Well, it worried me that I was losing track because I'm thinking, well,
No, that's the
whenever
goal.
we start getting out of that space and he's talking
That
about
is
it's the
that
space
is
your house takes up, and I'm like, oh, I'm already out of the house.
remember that
I'm
part where he
out here.
says, remember that part where he says, nobody, no place, no time.
Yeah,
Welcome to the party. You got there.
got it. Okay.
Just don't tell me you're not significant, because I'll tell you, you missed the lesson.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, that was the goal. That was very good, Christy. Sharon, did you want to say something? I saw your mic was on. No? Who's got the mic on? Who's got the hand raised? Ron. I'm sorry. Oh, Ron. Got to see your hand up.
Yeah. So I just had a clarification I just needed. So the IMs we're talking about is more the affirmations, right? So there's the I am, let's say I am happy, I am content. So those are the
The
affirmations.
I am talking about is not an affirmation.
Oh, okay.
The I am I'm talking about is a declaration. I am not trying to convince myself. When I say I am declaring to the kingdom that I have awakened. I am.
Mhm.
And I say it to the deepest part of my being so that my heart and mind are coherent in I am. And the angels about me declare I am. And I am an energy being. I am stating what I am. I am an energy being. I am an electrical energy being. You've heard this before.
Yeah.
I am an heir to the kingdom, a son of the Father, an infinite potential, a luminous being, electrical energy being. I am, and I declare it to the kingdom. Get out of my way. Here I am.
Yeah.
And
like
all
that.
programs in me are second to that one. And that's what I used to reduce my sickness of leukemia.
So Ray, is there a specific period of time, like in the morning or evening or night, that you have to do that, or
All day long.
all day long? Okay.
You have a minute, roll back your eyes and say, I am an
Got it.
electric energy being. And rehearse it till your body gets goosebumps. It will redefine your self-image, and you will quit seeing yourself as a man in this life. You will understand I am is an electric energy being in this role as a physical man or woman.
Awesome. Good. Thank you, Ray.
Einstein even said, quantum wise, the particle does not define the wave. The wave defines the particle. This isn't just woo-woo. This isn't mysticism. This is hard science now. Science declares you are an energy being expressing in a body. That is no longer woo-woo. That's quantum science. I am an energy being, and I declare it stronger than all the other programs in my body. It's not an affirmation to me.
Yeah.
I am demanding my subconscious to accept I am.
Yeah. Thank you, Ray.
If you say it in a way that you don't care, your body don't care. That's why I said it's not an affirmation. It's a demanding affirmation. Hear me, life. Hear me, body. I am. a divine expression, electrical luminous energy being, and I am awakened.
I am a divine luminous.
And in doing that, I am driving lymphocytic leukemia out of my body. It's unheard of, and it's hard for me to even understand. Because I still know I'm just a klutzy guy. Look at me. Do I look like some guru on a pillow? Really? Do I sound like one? Are you kidding me?
Perfect eyes.
No, I'm just telling you what Dr. Joe teaches. And I'm just trying to demonstrate it in my life. And I'm trying to be open with the craziness that is my life. To let you know this is real stuff. It's crazy. Do it. Remember in chapter 2, it says knowing to doing to being. Okay. I think we're running out of time. What time is it anyway? 9:20. Okay. So, so the points of this chapter is an introduction to the condition. Conditioning is the environment that you build. When you sit in the chair and you go to meditate, take a breath, go into awareness, and know I am. That's the condition of my starting environment. When I get that feeling in me, I now expect something to happen. I've got a history of it. I expect it now. I am surprised when I don't get a response in my life. I'm surprised when I don't find serendipities of proving it. I now expect it. I give meaning to it. The meaning means I am loved. The meaning means I am not alone. And my heart is thrilled to love. Nancy, I heard you speak.
I just want to say thank you for these. I didn't know about his books. I knew about Dr. Joe, and I felt a kindrence or whatever you say. You have brought me to where I really I want to study and do meditation with him and these projects. And thank you because I was in a trap of my mind about beating myself about something up. I have, I'll be honest with you guys, I have, it's hard to say. I've accomplished many things in my life, but at this point in my life, an addictive substance has gotten a piece of my mind, and I'm addicted to this substance, and I know it is something that I can let go of, and thank you for all your help. What I mean is there is love and there's light, and I always know that that's true. And so I was looking for more tools because in our culture, when you are addicted to an addictive substance, you start to experience guilt and shame around that addiction, and that is actually not me. And so I'm learning now that I can start to use these meditations to help me with that, because I mean, I put myself through 10 years of college. I have a doctorate. I have all these things I've accomplished. I'm only saying that because this has been the hardest challenge of my life. So if anybody else out there, I think this could be, I really feel this could be an answer for me. So and most 23 hours a day I experience love and light and blessings and God and the path that all human beings are meant to find our true selves. So whether we come to that through some sort of pain, whatever that pain is, my pain has been this. So you have really, really helped me, Ray, because I saw your pain that you went through with your health challenge, and I haven't had that challenge in this lifetime. And so I just want to say thank you that you've given me hope that I can overcome this challenge. So God bless you and everybody. You can beat this through these skills and this meditations. And we are meant to be love and we are meant to be light. And we are the beauty of the creation of the universe, and just keep trying. I'm talking to myself too. so so I just hope I will follow you each week, and your lessons are really, really helping me. So thank you so much. So
Thank you very much, Nancy. You are so well on the way. Everything you said was right on the journey.
and I want to help other people because I was shy to come and show myself and talk about this, but I want to help others because that too. So thank you, because wow, it's life is beautiful and life is good, but we have stuff, right? So
Right.
these meditations I think can really help me. So thank you.
Your
And thank you.
desire to help others will help you learn to love yourself to get free. That is, he says, I need to love myself. I can't get free unless I love myself. I need to help other people. I need to learn to love myself. You cannot help others without loving yourself.
That's
That's
the
the
biggest
secret sauce.
lesson. And through this, it's so funny because I did for a long time. I'm a retired pharmacist. I'm kind of smart or whatever. And I always love to help people. But since my mother died, I became addicted to alcohol. I was in a depression state, and it's been a hard challenge, and I thought, like, what's wrong with you? You've always had it together. And I had to, like, wow, like, overcome this thing, it's just weird. But I think these teachings are really helping me overcome this kind of big chunk of kind of self-hatred, guilt, and shame.
Don't
And so
overlabel it. It's just pain.
yeah, it's pain.
It's
And
just
so
pain. Don't
yeah,
overlabel it. It's okay. We've all gone through pain. You're medicating
yeah.
away pain.
So
Simplify it.
I think I'm just trying to help others too, because I'm being really vulnerable. I love to be vulnerable because I love people. I love all humans. But
Except maybe you.
yeah. So, oh, you're so funny. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. I have to. Oh God, I did the German snort. That was 4 generations of snorting.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but thank you, because I'm trying to find that place, like, and I hope there's so many of us, like, there's so much good in our life, but there's that one little
Yes.
thing that
That
just
pain.
keeps but this is really, really helping me. So thank you.
You're
I,
so
I, I
welcome.
just really do. I really thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love that I got something to give. I just love it, love it, love it. You'll have this recording online by Tuesday. I'll run it through my processor tomorrow evening and have it probably online either tomorrow evening or Tuesday. So I'll have it. Nancy, do you have are you listed in my WhatsApp page?
I don't know.
Patrice, are you still here? No, Patrice is gone. Okay. Hold on, everybody. I've got to get, I want to post my WhatsApp page.
Okay, great.
Come on. Come, I can't close my screen a little bit so I can see that. There it goes. Okay. Okay, so that's changed. Now let me find. My link is a little hidden because we were being rated and it got confusing. So I had some people create a new link to get to my page. There it is. Now let me see if I can find my link. Here it is. Copy. Chat. Message to everyone. Now what you need to do is go ahead. If you're on a computer, I don't know if it works if you're just on a phone. If you're on a computer, go ahead and click that link. And that will give you into my chats. And then I will receive you. There it is. There's somebody already done it. Okay. And you'll be accepted into my WhatsApp page. Why do you want to be accepted my WhatsApp page? Because then throughout the week, I post stuff, just hellos, and I write a letter. I got this cool idea. I write some verses. I make a note about the whatever. And you can make notes about your meditations. Some people talk about this and that and the coming events and stuff. It's just a community. Remember I told you I didn't have a community? This is a community where you can chat with people. And I think I've got 5 different countries represented in my page. Okay. So please click that link and join us. The link doesn't work right. Sandra, really? Oh.
No, yes, it worked.
Okay. Thank you, Sandra. Okay.
Thank
Scare
you.
me. Like, what do I do now? Okay. So click that link, get in, and be part of our group so we can chat during the week. Anybody else? Now, we have a few other people that are new tonight. Please do this so we can chat during the week, because this is where I give my stuff. Okay, it's time to go. Yeah, I've got 9:35. Sounds like a good time to say thank you and and surrender the night. I'm glad this turned out good. I never know how it's going to go. So love you guys. Chat with me over the week on this link. And read the book, do your meditations. And like I said in my video, you do the work, you get the promise. Ending recording.